idea, that room, isn't it?
I know, yes.
Yeah, the Agnes Nisbet room.
Yes. Yes, my dear, I gave the best care, and you know that I was a nursing officer as well.
Yes.
And a supervisor of midwives. I was also chairperson for the Royal College of Midwives, the union in Leicestershire. So, as you've been asking me about my progression, can you see what happened?
You just kept going up.
Up, and I didn't let anything deter me.
Were you not the first black nursing officer in Leicester?
I was, yes. I've had a student ask me how I became one.
What did you say?
Share. Those were my words.
That's a very good mantra. What has your experience and your career taught you about yourself, do you think?
It taught me that I'm special.
Why do you laugh?
It taught me that I am special. I'm a strong, well-educated woman. And I'm so proud of myself.
Well, Agnes, your smile and your joy and your compassion are an inspiration to us all. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. And if you were close to me, I'd give you a big hug.
Oh, I would too. It's been absolutely lovely being with you, honestly.
I hope I was all right.
Agnes, thank you. And if you have a story to tell of how a moment or experience changed things for you or others, get in touch with us at lifechanging@bbc.co.uk. And you can catch up with all our extraordinary guests by subscribing to Life Changing on BBC Sounds. Until the next time, goodbye.
Dr. Shan Williams was speaking to Agnes Nisbet. The producer is Thomas Harding Assender. Details of help and support with pregnancy-related issues.
It's the fastest fortune ever made.
Discover the man behind a mass fraud.
And it's the quickest fortune ever lost.
The human stories behind the data.
When you look at the numbers on a graph, imagine if they could help you reveal the guilt of a serial killer.
And the facts behind the fads.
Fitness trackers are actually better at recording data when the wearer is sedentary, which is not exactly very helpful in a fitness tracker.
Podcasts to feed your curiosity. Good Bad Billionaire, Uncharted with Hannah Fry, and Sliced Bread. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is BBC Radio 4. The COVID inquiry and lobbying scandals, and only last week revelations about MPs being scammed. What impact is instant messaging having on our politics? It's the question Helen Lewis asks in this edition of Helen Lewis Has Left the Chat, which contains some very strong language.
You start by just introducing who you are at the tape.
My name's Dominic Cummings. I've worked off and on in Westminster for 20 years, which been doing stuff. In 2019, 20, I worked in Number 10.
At the COVID inquiry last year, Dominic Cummings, former chief of staff at Number 10, had his private WhatsApp messages made public, something that many of us would find excruciating. But Dominic, well, he takes a different view.
My emotional system is almost totally disengaged from SW1 and the media ecosystem.
In the last decade, instant messaging has made politics faster, more informal, and more chaotic. Because of WhatsApp, we have a unique historical record of what it felt like on the inside, dealing with the greatest crisis to hit Britain since the Second World War. This is a story of big decisions, and, I should say, bad language.
Due in large part to your own WhatsApps, Mr. Cummings, we're going to have to coarsen our language somewhat.
The interesting thing was just how easy it was for everybody to divert to my bad language.
And it's a story that goes right to the top.
The PM himself was a WhatsApp addict, and there's only so much that can be managed.
Reflecting an enormous change in how we're governed.
WhatsApp in the hands of Elon and Sam Altman, highly productive, highly useful. WhatsApp in the hands of Tory MPs and Boris Johnson, intensifies chaos.
This is Helen Lewis Has Left the Chat, a series about how instant messaging has changed the world. Episode 2, Fax Machines and Foxy Natashas. Right, Mr. Roll. Can you introduce yourself and say who you are and what you do?
Hello, my name's Sam Cates. I'm Deputy Political Editor of Sky News. I've been a political journalist for 25 years.
We'll come back to Dominic Cummings later, but the story of how WhatsApp shaped British politics doesn't start with the COVID inquiry. Instead, let's go back to the 2010s and begin with Sam Coates, the ultimate Westminster insider. He is also, I think it's fair to say, a WhatsApp fiend. His status there reads, "Still going," with a jaunty exclamation mark, as if he's at the end of a long reporting shift. I think it's been like that since 2016. I'm here to talk to Sam about a WhatsApp group that changed the course of British political history. When did WhatsApp first become a thing in British politics?
So WhatsApp was kind of around 2012, 2013. It just didn't latch on. And the first time I noticed that actually it returned was after the Brexit referendum.
The death is ready, but the dawn is breaking on an independent, united kingdom.
After the Brexit referendum, suddenly there was an intense discipline amongst a group of Conservative MPs, effectively figures from the Tory right who wanted to seize control of the debate and the agenda after that Brexit vote and steer the country in the direction they wanted to take it.
This was the European Research Group, or the ERG, Brexiteers from the right of the Conservative Party. People like Suella Braverman, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Ian Duncan Smith, who wanted a clean break with Brussels, leaving the single market and customs union. And they had their own WhatsApp group.
The issue here is that actually Chequers leaves us within the single market, leaves us as a rule taker, leaves us de facto subsidy.
And about how many of them were there? Because I think we've all been in WhatsApp groups that are quite unwieldy. Was this a big unwieldy one? Are we talking a couple of dozen people?
I can tell you exactly how many, because I saw the group myself. There were 59 members of this WhatsApp group. And how it would work is that they would receive instructions from, for instance, Steve Baker or other leadership figures in the ERG, telling the whole group to, for instance, issue quotes or go on media to promote a particular position, or to shut up.
Let's leave the European Union in a way of which we can be proud, and that means vision, ambition, determination, resolve, courage.
Steve Baker might not have been the highest profile Brexiteer. He was one of the most influential. And that's because he was that figure, ultimate authority in a group chat. The admin.
I don't think we would have ended up with the hardest possible Brexit without Steve Baker and his WhatsApp group. And I know that it's going to sound a bit ridiculous, but this was the group where Britain started to be governed from.
The ERG WhatsApp group allowed members to share information, coordinate their strategy, and apply pressure to the Prime Minister, Theresa May. If she did something they didn't like, they could hit the TV screens and brief the newspapers. A blitzkrieg of blue-on-blue rebellion.
You've lost the trust and credibility of the House.
That Prime Minister resigned.
And if Theresa May did something they liked, all that noise just went away.
I've talked in depth to people from the ERG about the use of the WhatsApp group in that period. That discipline and silence was, I think, the awesome power of that WhatsApp group in that period.
The eyes to the right, 286. The nose to the left, 344. So the noes have it, the noes have it. Unlocked.
Some members of the ERG voted 3 times against Theresa May's Brexit deal. They nicknamed themselves the Spartans. I guess they thought they had the discipline and courage of ancient warriors. Less so the skimpy battle armour and chucking babies off cliffs.
It relied on a small number of people, 30 or 40, all acting collectively, and discipline was enforced through this WhatsApp group for the ERG.
I was a Brexiteer, and obviously there were a lot of people on my side concerned to make sure that the Brexit legislation went through and was fit for purpose.
This is Tim Lawton, a Conservative MP and a member of that ERG WhatsApp group.
So certainly, I think that was one of the most influential early political WhatsApp groups I was part of.
He thinks the power of the Brexiteers WhatsApp group reflects the increasing speed of politics.
So, when I arrived in 1997, you would get sacks of hard copy and paste, and people who wanted to lobby you on campaigns sent postcards and had to invest in a stamp. With the advent of email, that became much easier and much cheaper.
It's worth remembering, in 2006, it was announced to much fanfare that Tony Blair just acquired a personal email address. His deputy, John Prescott, is even worse.
I think it's called the internet, isn't it? Or blogs or something. I would have got used to letters, John, anyway, to all this new technology.
Today, though, if WhatsApp went down, British politics would grind to a halt. The names that politicians give these groups are often funny. Evil plotters, the Order of the Phoenix, Nando's. Tim Norton told me he's in one group called When Shall We Three Ski Again? But their effect on politics is profound.
Can you give me an idea then about how many WhatsApp messages you receive in a day?
Certainly in three figures. The trouble is that a lot of people like to use these WhatsApp groups to tell us what a very good lunch they've just had, or where the best bargain is on a cheap pint this week or something like that, which is helpful but not really key to what we're supposed to be using it for.
It wasn't just the speed of WhatsApp that made it such a powerful tool for the Brexiteers, but its secrecy, according to Sam Coates. The whips can't see what you put on WhatsApp.
None of what goes on in the WhatsApp group is visible to people outside it unless they so choose. And so politics has become more dangerous simply as a result of a technological platform.
Dangerous? Perhaps that sounds a bit strong, but not if you're a Conservative leader.
It sounds fanciful that a WhatsApp group can start to undermine the Prime Minister to the point where they are dethroned. But never before has there been a technological platform that is so instant, so easily tailorable to a group of individuals who are like-minded and can command the attention in a way that WhatsApp does.
So, Theresa May fell, Liz Truss fell, Boris Johnson fell, 3 Prime Ministers brought down by their own party. Would you say 3 Prime Ministers brought down by WhatsApp?
Yes, I do put it down to WhatsApp.
I will shortly leave the job, but it has been the honour of my life to hold. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
So, a WhatsApp group helped bring down Theresa May, paving the way for her successor, Boris Johnson. And he brought with him into Downing Street one of the other chief architects of Brexit, Dominic Cummings. Cummings has a simple explanation for why he used WhatsApp in Number 10. When he entered Downing Street in 2019, one of the first things that struck him was how low-tech everything was. It didn't feel like the nerve centre of a nuclear power. It felt like the set of Yes Minister.
When you watch movies, you have this sort of impression of, you always see the White House and all this high-tech stuff as if it being at the centre of power is a step into the future. But in fact, in lots of ways, it's a step backwards in time. So the Prime Minister himself, in lots of ways, has far less access to technology and tools than a one-person startup does.
In 2019, Cummings says, the Downing Street computer network did not have a secure file-sharing system. The phone used to call the White House, like a museum piece. And when COVID struck, the head of the NHS, Simon Stevens, was getting updates by fax machine. You didn't even have one of those transparent whiteboards right on markets like I've seen films.
In March 2020, the information system during COVID was I would wheel in a whiteboard and grab a marker, and Simon Stevens would read out from scraps of paper, faxes that he got from the NHS, and I would scribble the numbers on the whiteboard, and then I would type it to my iPhone times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 and say, so in 5 Dublin periods, this is what NHS capacity looks like right on the whiteboard. That was the information system for here in March 2020.
Once you understand that, you begin to see why WhatsApp was so tempting to politicians, their staff and their civil servants. Here was a service that was fast, secure, ish and could connect people across different departments.
So much of how government works is dysfunctional that WhatsApp is a sort of inevitable way in which people try to reach around obviously dysfunction. So it's just much more productive than the normal meetings, minutes, official email, and everything else. Also, a lot of officials use WhatsApp because it means that they can really FOI.
Oh, and that's another reason to use WhatsApp. It was, or so everyone thought, exempt from freedom of information requests. That meant people used language there you might traditionally be expected to hear in a pub, but not a work meeting. WhatsApp has blurred those boundaries. And for me to tell that story, you're going to hear the type of extremely strong language we're talking about. Here is the lead counsel to the COVID inquiry, Hugo Keith, bringing up the issue with Dominic Cummings in unexpurgated terms.
Due in large part to your own WhatsApps, Mr. Cummings, we're going to have to coarsen our language somewhat. I apologise. You call ministers useless fuckpigs, morons, cunts, in emails and WhatsApps to your professional colleagues.
Interesting was just how easy it was for everybody to divert to my bad language about particular people rather than the complete insanity that I was actually referring to in messages. So if you take me saying
using the C word, for example, about a female official was the one that got mentioned most.
Yeah, exactly.
It was this particular instance of offensive language that many commentators found the most objectionable. And what you're about to hear will explain why.
You say this. I don't care how it's done, but that woman must be out of our hair. We cannot keep dealing with the horrific meltdown of the British state while dodging stilettos from that woman. Mr. Cummings, was that aggressive, far-mad, misogynistic approach the correct way to manage fellow professionals?
But no one looks at the crazy thing that I was actually discussing. Do you even know what it was I was actually discussing that?
It was Helen McNamara, who was the Cabinet Secretary, had been offering Deputy Cabinet Secretary, had been offering advice that he thought was unhelpful, and he wanted to get her out of the building. Saying it, but I can't, if I'm honest with you, remember what the advice was that you were having.
Exactly. And the actual thing that was happening was genuinely crazy. The actual thing was the Cabinet officials were pulling officials out of meetings on COVID vaccines and COVID rapid testing in summer 2020 in order to deal with Cabinet Office fuck-ups on HR issues from 2019. Why on earth would the supposed centre of crisis management be diverting its own people from dealing with the vaccine testing, the two most important things, in order to deal with its own HR fuck-ups, because it's so badly managed? But of course, no one cares about that. It says, oh my goodness me, don't just be rude about the female official.
Right, counterpoint, which is that had you not used that kind of language, it wouldn't have taken the focus away from the points that you wanted to make.
But I think it completely misunderstands the context. This is not me saying this in a meeting in particular, where obviously I didn't use such language or talk to people in that way. This is the equivalent of me standing in the boardroom, as would have happened in 1940 or 1990, and saying the situation is completely fucking crazy.
We all have private conversations full of in-jokes and shared references, low-level grumbles that we want to air in public. Only psychopaths in reality TV contestants don't talk behind people's backs. But what's the real cost of having these kinds of conversations on WhatsApp? Of muddying the line between gossipy water-cooler chat and important government business? Had I been one of the officials, knowing that senior people were talking about me in that kind of language on a private WhatsApp group, I might have not felt like I could speak up in meetings. And the net effect of that is that only perhaps the most self-assured, arrogant people are happy to speak if you have that kind of atmosphere.
I think that's completely misguided. Do you really think that I, for example, should think, oh my goodness, people like doing that on WhatsApp, so I'm not sure I feel able to speak out in this meeting? Do you think that would be a reasonable,
I don't think you think
do you think that would be a reasonable way? Do you think people like that should be anywhere near power to protect?
Well, I think...
Because I think if that's how you think, you shouldn't be any of those jobs.
So was WhatsApp for you a place where you could blow off steam about the fact that, you know, this was a kind of safe space where you didn't have to deal with people telling you to moderate yourself? It was a place where you could just vent?
No. I mean, I would have been on WhatsApp a lot less, but the game itself was WhatsApp, even though there was so much that I could manage.
In fact, Cummings claims Boris Johnson liked WhatsApp so much that one of his aides suggested replacing the ministerial red boxes, which traditionally carry government briefing documents, with messages on WhatsApp.
He started WhatsApp notes to the PM on his personal phone. He and others said that this was A, an extremely bad idea for all sorts of reasons. B, was also pretty obviously against all the normal rules.
The thing is, what were the rules when it came to WhatsApp? Was the use of WhatsApp during the pandemic evidence of something anti-democratic? Do they show senior politicians and advisors avoiding proper, minuted discussions, shortcutting a process that is supposed to be transparent and accountable?
I think that's what I find difficult, because I can see this from both sides. I can see that you are in a situation where what would have once been a quick chat in the corridor has now moved online. And should that be treated as an official communication, or should it be treated as disposable in the same way that an in-person conversation would? And I don't think government can really run without people just having quick chats that probably don't stand up to the, intense scrutiny of the COVID inquiry.
Obviously, yeah. The only way around what we're saying is to suggest some kind of panopticon system in which everything is seen and everything is entirely transparent. I mean, technically you could actually do that in 10, but even if you did that, all what would actually happen is that people move elsewhere in order to have private chats.
As it turned out, some politicians and their advisors did find a way to keep their chats private by deleting their WhatsApp messages. In the case of one Scottish advisor, it turned out that deleting his messages had become a nightly ritual. And the Prime Minister at the time, Boris Johnson, says that he lost many of his conversations.
It's something to do with the app going down and then coming up again, but somehow not it automatically erased.
Much of the reaction to these deletions has been outrage. Critics think they've been deprived of insight into key decisions by people who don't want to face democratic scrutiny. But brace yourself for something you don't hear very often. Dominic Cummings sticking up for his former boss.
Obviously, I've been extremely critical of Boris, but in principle, just trying to help people understand the reality of government. It's often necessary for me to say things which sound like I'm defending it, but this is one of them. I think it's very underappreciated that the official advice that you are given working in number 10 is to regularly delete everything from your personal phone that is government business, unless you think that it's significant and should therefore be transferred to an official channel. Another thing which is not appreciated is that in summer 2021 there was a significant hack of the PM's office and various phones were compromised, and those compromised phones were then used to try and hack other people's phones, including mine. After which me and a lot of people deleted a whole bunch of stuff and changed our phones. So I think that's also not appreciated in the whole story of WhatsApp, why a lot of stuff vanished.
This is one of the big concerns about the use of WhatsApp. He hired a private security firm to investigate. That firm traced the security breach back to his WhatsApp inbox and, allegedly, to a video file sent to him by Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince.
That hack is interesting to me because obviously poor old Jeff Bezos got hacked over WhatsApp. Did someone send you a message saying, "Hi Dom, I'm a hot girl in your area," or "Hi Dom, I'm a Boris, I've changed my number, I just wanted to check in on the top secret plans that we've been plotting with each other"? Was it something like that?
It wasn't a Foxy Natasha, but it was more like the second scenario. Yeah, it was one of the PM's private secretaries texted me saying, "Could I click on this link?" And it didn't seem to me like the KGB's top people were on the case, so I called GCHQ and said, "I've got this very odd message."
Many countries, including some hostile to Britain, have the ability to infiltrate smartphones through low-tech hacks like this. So what goes on WhatsApp might not stay on WhatsApp. And there's another group of people who can take advantage of the casual nature and accessibility of the service. Lobbyists. When former Prime Minister David Cameron wanted to help businessman Lex Greensill get government contracts, he just texted his chums.
Lex Greenhill, Lex, where are you? Give us a wave. Thank you very much.
David Cameron, for example, was WhatsApping the Health Secretary Matt Hancock to lobby on behalf of Greensill, a way that WhatsApp was used as an informal back channel for people outside the government.
Yeah, these technologies just inherently have positive and negative effects. I mean, it helps everybody do everything more productively, including corruption. So, yeah.
Now, successive inquiries have ruled that Cameron's lobbying in this case was not unlawful, and there is no evidence of corruption. However, the Treasury Committee did say it showed a significant lack of judgment. Cameron's casual texts are a reminder of one of the great unanswered questions about the WhatsAppification of politics, and the creep of instant messaging into our lives more generally. Is it healthy to blend the personal and the professional so much? Should you use the same platform to share official statistics, and to bitch about your most annoying co-workers, and to bid for government contracts, and to share links to news stories about skateboarding goats? Dominic Cummings doesn't see the problem. WhatsApp is to me a great tool, makes things speed things up, but it does actually speak to perhaps sometimes a kind of glibness. I would say that about Boris Johnson's WhatsApps. They do not appear to sometimes be taking problems seriously, and maybe using a format that is a bit like a text message that you might also use for sending, memes of cats to your mum, encourages that.
Yeah, but I think it just keeps going back to the same question. WhatsApp in the hands of people who are competent and have clear goals and know what they're doing is another useful, productive tool. In the hands of clowns, it exacerbates clownishness.
Since leaving Number 10, Dominic Cummings has taken to writing extremely long Substack posts, several of which are about the great 19th century German administrator Otto von Bismarck. Look, we've all got to have a hobby. You've been working on, I think, probably your life's masterwork, which is your Bismarck chronology. Renowned bureaucrat and administrator. Could the kind of things that he did, would they be possible in an era of hyper-fast communication now, in the era of WhatsApp?
Yeah, I mean, throughout history, the people who are just clearly more high performance are also always the people who are much faster. Bismarck's like Jeff Bezos and Elon, right? They're all startup guys. Bismarck, like everybody, would use these tools productively, and not like Tory MPs do.
One more thing. We've been talking about WhatsApp as a private space, at least until a government inquiry asks you to hand over your messages. But talk to anyone in politics, and they will tell you, if you really want to have a confidential discussion, don't expect to do it in a large WhatsApp group. Tim Norton is wary for this reason.
It has become a real problem now on some of the Conservative MP WhatsApp groups that people will just not post remotely sensitive stuff there on the basis that often, even within hours, they appear in a journalist's social media or get written up in the press. And that is a real problem. Therefore, we have to go back to face-to-face meetings where we can see physically who's in the room or not.
Empires rise and fall, and so do political WhatsApp groups. Once Britain had safely left the European Union, Steve Baker kicked everyone out of the ERG WhatsApp group and deleted it. Since the COVID inquiry, I've noticed that many of my contacts, journalists and politicians alike, quietly switched on disappearing messages. After 24 hours, any confidences, leaks, rude jokes, or state secrets simply vanish. Maybe then, the golden era of WhatsApp and politics, it's already over. Sam Coates.
WhatsApp 2016 to probably about 2021 captured a social and political history that I don't think from 2024 to 2030 is going to be captured anymore because everything's being deleted. And I look back at that period of political reporting and I've got absolutely everything that happened pretty much documented through that period, and it's private and only I can see it. And even now I'm staggered by the exchanges, the messages, the photographs, the honesty, the delusion. And I know that because of the lessons of that period, there will be no such record for me 2024 to whenever.
In the autumn of 2020, Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings fell out. The end of their working relationship was sealed in a quintessentially modern way, on WhatsApp. Johnson accused Cummings of indulging in, and I quote, a grotesque orgy of narcissism. And so Cummings blocked his number. These days, it seems, you can't just leave the government. You also have to leave the chat. Next time, axe emojis and guillotines, or what happens when the group chat meets the virtual office.
I in no way sensed the stakes. I didn't even think that it was this all-time fight. I don't know if this would have happened without Slack.
Helen Lewis Has Left the Chat was written and presented by me, Helen Lewis, and produced by Tom Pooley. Original music was by Coach Conrad. The editor was Craig Tempton Smith. It was a Tempo and Talker production for BBC Radio 4, BBC Sounds.
It had the power